Hi there! We are in for a good one today. Today we learn about Plankton, SpongeBob's evil nemesis. Actually, Plankton was not a true plankton because he walked on the floor of the sea. He was a benthin. So what is a plankton? Well, Latin for wanderer, any aquatic organism whose locomotion is moved by waves, tides, or currents. So, man-o-war jellyfish, 100 feet long, plankton. But most are very tiny. Most are microorganisms, and we did microorganisms last lab, so you're in luck. There's some overlap. Uh, phyta means plant-like, photosynthetic. Animal-like. So plankton form the base of all food chains in the sea. I just overstepped most food chains of the sea. You know, kelp forests and stuff have their own food chains, but plankton form the basis of most food chains in the sea. The first class that you'll be looking at are the blue-green bacteria. Cyanobacteria used to be called blue-green algae. We've discussed them at length. Remember nitrogen fixation, converting nitrogen to usable nutrients, so that makes them very important. You've already drawn pictures of them. So many planktonic forms. The diatoms have a silica frustral, that's skeleton, silica frustral. They have many morphologies, which means structures, but we classify them as centric, which are round, and pinnate, which are oval to needle-like to thin. A little bit of more variety there. Centric, round, and pinnate. They're the most dominant in most ecosystems of the plankton, and they're grazed on by most herbaceous zooplankton. Dinoflagellates, very abundant group as well. They can glow in the dark. They sometimes eat, so they can be a little bit of a zooplankton, phytoplankton crossover. They have flagella, so they can move toward the light a little bit, but they don't swim. They still plankton. I mean, they're tiny, so any wave will knock them off their course. They do make poisons. They make toxins to avoid getting eaten. We call that a red tide. Ironically, Alabama, who everyone thinks is a good football team, their name, the Crimson Tide, is really just a dinoflagellate bloom. It's not an elephant, so it's just roll dinoflagellates. So yeah, they do make toxins. A lot of fish kills. Gives people respiratory problems. If you eat infected seafood, you can get shellfish poisoning. It's generally not lethal, just makes you sick. Foraminifera and radiolarians are the two most common zooplankton that we're going to look at as far as protists go. Calcareous shells versus silica shells. They're both very amoeba-like. I want you to pay attention to the eusophids, that second one. In your illustrations, that's what the whales eat, the eusophids. They're like shrimp. But the copepods are the most abundant around this area as far as the planktonic crustaceans go, and plankton in general. The zooplankton, the copepods, dominate. Ostracods are like little water fleas. Mysids are large mysid shrimp. But all these are animal crustaceans, plankton, moved by the tides. And of course, the planktonic larvae, they are meroplankton. They only spend part of their life as plankton. The other part of their life, they are benthon or swimmers. Fish. Mostly benthon though, but swimmers sometimes. So your lab report, we're virtual. When you print it out, you'll see that there's also a lab report for in lab, but that's not you. You guys get the plankton sample PowerPoint. You could use a Petri dish or any lid to a Tupperware, similar size, to trace circles for your illustrations. And then the identification chart you're going to want to print out, because you're going to identify the plankton from the PowerPoint. I've taken a lot of pictures. If you look any up on the internet, use references. But the identification chart should be sufficient. So you'll make a cover, you'll illustrate the plankton, and you'll ID them using the chart. So it's an easy one this time. That's why I said it was great. You have a great day, and thank you. Oh, part 2. Ha! Just kidding. Yes, the second part of this write-up, you need to go back to your Weeden Island and look at the museum models, attach the photos, and answer the questions. Now I'm really saying goodbye for real. That was just a test before to make sure you listen to the end. Have a great day.